This event has finally confirmed the imminent rise of the Antichrist. What happened, and who was responsible for this reveal? Let's take a deep dive into the reveal of the Antichrist. The date was July 28th. It was the day in which the 22nd Commonwealth Games were opened. The Commonwealth Games is the second largest international games, coming right after the Olympics. This year, there were 72 nations and territories that were taking part, and it was estimated that about a third of the world was watching. Due to the late Queen's frail health at the time, Prince Charles opened the events on behalf of Her Majesty. Prince Charles oversaw everything and attended the opening festivities that took place in the Alexander Stadium, Birmingham, England. Let me tell you a brief summary of the highlights of the main production. To begin, a CGI video was played to the audience, which shows an explosion of a star from somewhere deep within the galaxy. The star, now in fragments, are as a result of the explosion, blown away towards Earth. These fragments make contact on the surface of the Earth, all throughout nations, landing outside the houses of 72 people called the Dreamers. We see the first dreamer, Stella, go outside of the house in curiosity. She sees the fragment, the shard of the star. She picks it up and brings it inside the house with her. All 71 of the remaining dreamers take the quartz crystal-shaped fragment into their houses, and as a result of the presence of the crystals, their houses begin to float towards the Alexander Stadium. These dreamers all arrive at the stadium with their crystals in hand, and a dance sequence commences. After the dance sequence, a large Moloch bull about 10 meters in height was rowed out into the stadium by women in chains. Suddenly the chains break and the bull is set free. Out of fear, all the freed women run out of the bull's way, moving to get behind him. The dreamers, who are still in the middle of the stadium, do not run even as the bull makes it towards them. The girl, Stella, walks towards the bull with 5 other dreamers. She extends her arm out towards the bull, not to hurt it, but rather make friends with it and to keep peace. The bull bows and is calmed down by this action. The bull, along with these 6 dreamers, make their way towards the center of the stadium. Stella climbs and sits upon the bull while all the women from before, along with the remaining 72 dreamers and their crystals, encircle the bull in song and dance. Much later, after all the dancing is over, the dreamers and women leave, leaving in their place the flags of all 72 nations who are a part of the games. The dreamers then take their crystals with them and go towards the tower. As they reach the tower, they give up their crystals to the tower and climb up to the top. The entire skit ends with the star being complete once again and comments about how people can be compassionate and coexist in peace and harmony. This all seems like an innocent skit, right? Something that anyone could pass as just embellished entertainment. That's what the Antichrist had meant for us to see. But how does the Antichrist have anything to do with this? Where is the reveal? Let me break it down for you. The introduction was showing a star exploding from somewhere in the universe. When this star exploded, it was split into many shards, and these shards are then shown heading towards the Earth, and eventually lands in all nations of the Commonwealth and the other countries who are participating. In the Bible, Lucifer is referred to as the angel of light or the morning star. 2 Corinthians 11, verse 14 says, "And no wonder, for Satan himself masquerades as the angel of light." Even in the very beginning of this production, there is a clear reference and representation of the devil. This is further backed by Luke 10, verse 18. He replied, "I saw Satan fall like lightning from heaven." The video showed shards that fell towards the earth like meteors of lightning. Then 72 dreamers, New Agers, find these shards outside their homes and retrieve them. The first person who goes to retrieve the shard was Stella. The shard looks like a large quartz crystal, and it has a bright white light which is emitted. Stella picks up the piece and starts talking, or rather whispering and praying to it, telling it all of her dreams and hopes. This is a foreshadowing of the rise of the Antichrist. Like we've already established, these shards are the pieces of the devil. Now these, the devil through their shards, have been poisoning the nations. The devil does have control over the earth. The devil is an evil being that gets to the hearts of the weary and wicked through promises of materialistic possessions. We have seen the devil try to tempt Jesus in Matthew 4 in verses 8 and 9. It says that, again, the devil took him to a very high mountain and showed him all the kingdoms of the world and their splendor. "All this I will give you," he said, "if you will bow down and worship me." If it weren't for the righteousness of Christ and the faith and loyalty that Jesus had for the Father, temptation could have easily swayed him. Then she takes it to her home. All 71 dreamers have followed suit, picking up the shards and taking it into their homes. All of a sudden, the force of gravity seems to be nullified as all the houses begin to collectively float across towards the Alexandra Stadium in Birmingham, England. The 72 dreamers remain within their houses as their houses float across countries, above various terrains such as seas, oceans, rivers, deserts, forests, and valleys. All these houses are shown to be floating above the stadium before they all land. As soon as this happens, all the dreamers exit their houses, their shards in hand, and are finally before the audience. Soon after, the bull comes upon the stadium, pulled by slave women. The bull rebels and manages to free itself from the chains, and now the slave women who have been controlled and monitored by this warrior, who looks similar to that of an ancient Roman warrior, are free at last. The women who are freed all seem to be afraid of each other and run away behind the bull. Meanwhile, the bull makes its way to the center of the stadium. The bull is now charging towards the center of the stadium, almost ready to attack. Stella sees this and walks towards the now freed bull with her crystal in hand. She doesn't seem to want to harm the raging bull, and so she instead tries to calm down and appease the bull. She puts her crystal in her left hand and puts her right arm up to touch the nose of the bull. The bull bows down to her so that she can touch its nose. There was an entire backstory to this, talking immensely about love and peace amongst everyone, conflict resolved, and slaves freed. The bull then calms down and it's facing the Tower of Babel. All the 72 dreamers encircle the bull with their crystals in hand, and they proceed to basically worship the bull. Then Stella climbs onto the bull with her crystal, and all the remaining 72 dreamers bow down and performs what is essentially a modern-day worship to the bull. They then invite the audience to join them in their worship. The Bible tells us the rise of a beast has already been prophesied in Revelation 13, verses 11 through 15. Then I saw a second beast coming out of the earth. It had 2 horns like a lamb, but it spoke like a dragon. It exercised all the authority of the first beast on its behalf, and made the earth and its inhabitants worship the first beast, whose fatal wound had been healed. And it performed great signs, even causing fire to come down from heaven to the earth in full view of the people. Because of the signs it was given power to perform on behalf of the first beast, it deceived the inhabitants of the earth. It ordered them to set up an image in honor of the beast who was wounded by the sword and yet lived. The second beast was given power to give breath to the image of the first beast, so that the image could speak and cause all who refused to worship the image to be killed. This is a key event that changed everything. The bull is quite a literal and real representation of the Antichrist. Think about it like this: all 72 nations join together, united as they worship, praise, and rejoice at the bull and their newfound alliance with it. Let me also reveal something astonishing. The number 71, representative of the 71 dreamers who are worshiping the bull, has a great significance. Every year at the Feast of Tabernacles in Israel, they would sacrifice 70 bulls. I repeat, every year they sacrifice 70, not 71, but 70 bulls at the Feast of Tabernacles. The rabbis in Israel have historically believed that this was the number of nations that arose from the fall of the Tower of Babel. Now, Christianity and sometimes the Jewish community interpret the sacrifice of 70 bulls as a way of worship to God on behalf of Israel. Now you must be wondering, but what does this have anything to do with the 71 dreamers? Because after all, there were not 70 but 71 dreamers. Well, to answer that, we must remember who the beast symbolizes. It symbolizes the devil, and in turn, the Antichrist. When we look at the Feast of Tables, the sacrifices were for worshiping God on behalf of Israel. And when we look at the 71 dreamers, it now includes Israel too, foretelling that even Israel will knowingly or unknowingly worship the devil. Now what happens next happened much later. The people encircling the bull are now replaced with flags of all the nations. These nations are also seen on the tower. All 72 dreamers place their crystals on the tower and make their way around and up the tower. On the top of the tower, all the shards from the dreamers are all rejoined together, and the star is whole again. The bull then later stands on its rear legs and its beam is casted from the star directly at the heart of the bull. This represents the rise of Lucifer. The star, or the devil, has finally been put together once more with the help of the 71 nations standing in unity, and with the help of the bull, the Antichrist. They have done this by rebuilding a tower so similar to that of the Tower of Babel. All of what has been shown is written in the Bible. All of this confirms the reveal of the Antichrist. And what's the kicker? The man behind all of this has since risen to the position of King of England. The man behind all of this has a strong relationship with the Pope, who also has been the largest advocate for making a one-world religion. Prince Charles was then just an overseer of the Commonwealth Games. Now he is King Charles III, King of the Commonwealth. This reveal is just another piece of strong evidence that the rapture is coming soon. Are you ready for it?